Please share the influence of family background on your growth. Please share some of your experiences of the process of studying, employment, or entrepreneurship, and the link with Taiwan. As I said, my name is Wellington. I grew up here in Atlanta. I was born and raised in Atlanta, I should say. So basically, as a child, I was always brought by my parents to attend a lot of Taiwan Tongshanghui or Taiwanese American Association events. From there, I had an early kind of insight into the Taiwanese community. Had a lot of people that are my age and that I became friends with and I'm still friends with. Still see a lot of them today. It's been, I would say, 30 something years now since I've known them. Some of them, 30 something years for most of them. And so I had like that sense of community growing up. My parents also kind of sent us to Taiwanese school or Chinese Mandarin school. Like one of the schools I actually attended was this one. This one's the actual community center owned by OCAC. And so I came here for a few years, and then my parents eventually began Taiwanese School of Atlanta, TSA, Taimei Xuexiao. And so I actually attended that until I graduated high school. And so as part of that though, we did a lot of like other performances. We did like dance performances. We did like drum performances and things like that. So it was like always like the same few people. So we got really close over the years. As also growing up, I attended a summer camp called Taiwanese American Foundation, or TAF. And TAF actually shaped me in a lot of like my leadership style. They teach a lot about servant leadership there. I follow a lot of those teachings still to this day. And when I lead organizations or my team, that's really the type of leadership style that I choose and prefer. After high school, I went to college and I went to Emory locally. I went to Oxford College of Emory first for 2 years. Then I went to Emory University for 2 years. When I got to Emory, I discovered that there was no Taiwanese Student Association or Taiwanese American Student Association. So I actually began the organization when I went there my junior year. TASA, I think, is still around now. It's been, I don't know, I graduated in 2006. So I think they're still around. It's been almost 15 years now. Last I checked, they were still there. So that's a good thing. So after college, kind of did my own thing, worked for a little bit for a few years before I went back to law school. In law school, I started a Asian American Student Association or Bar Association, in which like Asian American students could kind of gather and meet up. After law school, took a couple of years working, and then I actually started TAP, or Taiwanese American Professionals, the Atlanta chapter. That was founded in 2013, 2014. Still active now, still doing well. From there, I actually became the national organization, TACL, Taiwanese American Citizens League, or Taimei Gongming Shehui. And I am now their national president and have been for the past 2 years. Been heavily involved in the community, have been doing a lot since I was young, starting from, just going to community events with parents to, starting up a few organizations and still helping out right now, doing a lot for the community and just, trying to see what we can do to kind of let more people know about Taiwan. So all these community events, has a lot of focus on our background, our heritage, and kind of learning about where we come from. And, we hope to also teach other people about that as well. When and why did you begin to participate in overseas community events? What events or whom inspires you the most? As I mentioned, I actually began attending events very young, probably around 6 or 7 years old. My parents just began taking me and my sister to the Taiwan Tongshanghui events. They were just like picnics, Lunar New Year events, holidays, barbecues, things like that. So from there, having that sense of community growing up, having that sense of like, other people that were my age or hadn't had the same background, or just having the same background actually, it really helped inspire me to kind of continue that trend. Because I think when I got to school, when I got to college, I noticed that there wasn't that community there. So I started up that community because I felt like we really just needed something that was for us, that Taiwan has a very unique heritage, unique past that kind of makes it different from a lot of other countries out there, a lot of other Asian countries. And so that's why I continued to do that. And so after college, I started the TAP eventually after I graduated law school a few years later. That was also because, we were missing that community for our generation, for people that were growing up here, didn't really quite fit in with the Taiwan Hongxianghui people, or the first-gen people as we call them, because like there are language barriers, or we just felt like a little bit out of place because they were mostly our parents. We started our own community as well through TAP and through other organizations like that. The sense of community and of being around people is what really inspires me the most to do events and to participate. You have lots of experience in interacting with our local overseas community people. Any suggestions for the youth to participate in more of our communities more actively? I think everyone just needs to kind of find their own space or their own place of where they feel like they fit in. For me, I think a lot of it was that I didn't feel like I fit in. And so I kind of began my own organizations to create that new community. I think for a lot of the youth out there, as long as they find a space that they fit in, I think that's the most important, whether it's Taiwanese community or, you know, their professional communities or sports or things like that. You know, we hope people do kind of join our organizations and kind of participate in our activities because we want to grow our community, and, you know, we want everyone to feel like they have a place that they belong. As long as the individuals find their own space and their own place, I think that's the most important thing. Could you give us some advice on how an individual can promote Taiwan and let more people in the world know about Taiwan? I think the most important thing is to kind of know our own identity. For the Taiwanese identity, I think when you ask 10 people, you're gonna come up with 10 different answers. Everyone says a different thing, right? You know, just the fact that they're from Taiwan, or the fact that they eat food from Taiwan or enjoy food from Taiwan, or things like that. I think one of the most important things is really to keep saying that you're Taiwanese, even when people may try and correct you or they won't allow you to kind of have that space. And so one of the things that my organization, TACL, did this past year, 2020, was that we did a writing campaign for the census. We checked the box, other Asian, and then wrote in Taiwanese, because Taiwanese was not an option.
In 2020, we participated in the campaign for all Taiwanese Americans to check other Asian and write in Taiwanese in the United States Census.
Taiwanese identity might be complicated to some, but we believe that it is vibrant, distinctly beautiful, and most importantly, a crucial part of who we are.
There are so many ways to affirm our identities and our origin stories.
On official documents, in everyday conversations,
and in the organizations and communities we choose to lead.
The census only counts us every 10 years, but we are determined to be counted every day in every way.
It's who we are. Keep making it count.
I think for our people, for the people who identify as Taiwanese, I think it's really important to continue to say that, the fact that, you know, I am Taiwanese, you know, do not lump me in with other organizations, do not lump me in with other ethnic groups or things like that. If you know, identify as Taiwanese, continue to keep stating so, and, you know, and in every opportunity you can, and that will just help continue the spread of the Taiwanese people and the idea of Taiwan. So another way to continue to promote Taiwan is also to invite people to attend, you know, Taiwanese events. So things hosted by Taiwanese American Professionals or TAP, things hosted by other Taiwanese organizations out there, whether it's student organizations, things, you know, invite your non-Taiwanese friends. Just invite them to come to the events and to really, you know, learn more about our community, learn more about our heritage and traditions. I think that's really helpful in, like, you know, continuing to let other people know about Taiwan and to continue to build, like, what we call allies, and to continue to help, like, let other people know about Taiwan. Your dedication to our community is the best model for our youth. Could you give them some advice? The advice I would give is really, you want to give back. Otherwise, you're not going to have, like, the drive to do it. For me, I think a lot of my drive came from going to the summer camps and learning about servant leadership and how it's really important as a leader to serve the community. And so learning that has really inspired me to really try and do more for my community and to try and, you know, continue to build that community and things like that. I think that's like a really good way to do more, whether you know, identify as Taiwanese in events that you go to, whether sporting events or, you know, video game conventions or things like that. I think, you know, identifying yourself as Taiwanese, as continuing to want to do more and to kind of like tell people about Taiwan, that will also help. I think telling people to visit Taiwan is a really great way to help people kind of know more about Taiwan and also come to love Taiwan is because like the people there are really great. Everyone's super friendly. I think even within our own community here in the States, once you kind of attend the community, everyone's like super nice. And I think that really translates from having that like kind of ingrained into our like people. People in Taiwan are super helpful to everyone and super nice and very welcoming. The food there is also really great. Love eating anything there, really, to be honest. There's also a lot of nature. There's like a lot of activities to do. And there's just so much that is going on in Taiwan. I think that when people go there and actually see it, it really kind of changes their perspective a little bit. And lots of historical stuff as well. So for people who want to learn the history, who want to kind of learn more about how kind of Taiwan came to be and kind of the people that helped shape it, really will help kind of increase the people's knowledge and understanding of Taiwan. So I'd like to thank OCAC for having me do this interview and for kind of giving my perspective and a little bit of my history of why I do what I do. If you'd like to find out more about our organization, you can go to tacl.org. We have a lot of stuff on there, a lot of new stuff that we're kind of starting to do this year as well. We have a startup mini accelerator that we're developing that's going to kick off soon. So be on the lookout for that. We're continuing to do some more census type work, in which we are continuing to drive like identifying yourselves as Taiwanese anywhere you can. We're going to continue to also partner with other organizations to do some more work for the Stop AAPI Hate work that's going on right now. So we've been involved a little bit so far, but we hope to continue to do more and give back more to the community as a whole.